Well, at least they were honest about Dot being fake, like we all said. Hey guys, this is Jules with True Crime Reactions. Disclaimer. Everything stated in this video is my opinion and my opinion only, and just like everything else in these cases we discuss here on this channel, everything is alleged. Okay, it is Sunday morning and I just finished episode 3. I have 6 pages of notes on this one. Okay, and I did post in my community tab that I was going to be posting my notes, and I'll do that throughout the week. I have to scan these in through my scanner, and then I'll get them posted. But there was a lot of repetition in this episode, a whole lot of repetition. They went back and forth about Papa Roger, all the things, and we'll touch on all of that. But it starts off with it being like 6 months later, and Olivia and her mom are at the scene. And just like side note, I think it's actually really cute that Olivia and her mom like travel together, and Olivia's mom video records her. Okay, I can have like how I feel about whatever, right? But I think that them doing that together is kind of cute. Anyway, but it's talking about how 6 months later, the trash is still exactly where it was. And then it goes on to talk about the grand jury indictment. And I'm wondering if like that Danny Minor guy on TikTok is where the whole like, oh, you can convict a ham sandwich in a grand jury thing came from, because they play a clip of him saying it like really exaggerately. And I mean, I hadn't heard that until this case, and then it was like getting talked about and being repeated by people in comments on live panels. Like literally everyone was using the exact same sentiment. It was actually kind of annoying because I'm like, could you come up with something original? I'm so tired of hearing about ham sandwiches all day long. I don't know, but they just had to like throw that one in there. Now, I did find it interesting they showed a clip to where Brian Inton came out and stated that he had received information about Bryan Kohberger having a strong alibi, because the one that we got isn't too awesome. It's pretty vague and open-ended. Hopefully more about that comes out. We've kind of already been told that there's more work in the background happening when it comes to Brian's alibi, so we're really just kind of waiting on that. Now, when they're talking about the grand jury and they show the clips of him being indicted, it shows a very like close up of his hands like touching the grand jury document. There's no scars. And by then there would be scars. My scars are noticeable. I have scars that are hella noticeable on my hands and other places, okay? So I feel like if he had any cuts or anything, you would still see scars, and there's nothing there. Now, I also find it crazy to me, okay? Crazy to me. They play the clip of Judge mispronouncing Kaylee's name. You guys remember how in the beginning, a lot of us had issues with the judge because he called Kaylee Kayla. Okay, he also mispronounced Xana's name, but not completely. He completely gave Kaylee a completely different name. And my whole thing is that it's literally on court record of Bryan Kohberger pleading, standing silent technically, to being accused of murdering someone named Kaylee Goncalves. I mean, that person might really exist out there or not, but it's not the person that this case is about. I'm surprised they put that in there. Now they start talking about how people are worried that because of what's going on social media that Brian could get off on a technicality. Okay, let me tell y'all something. The only technicalities that are going to get Bryan Kohberger off if he is truly guilty is something that was done in the actual system itself. Something that the state did, something that was done to the evidence to corrupt it, something that was done illegally, something that the feds did, something that was done wrong. Okay, he's not going to get off on a technicality because we're talking about it on social media. It's just not going to happen that way. Now, they did show a clip where Ashley Banfield was reading something, and it says, Mr. Kohberger knows that exculpatory evidence exists. Okay, so I'm wondering if that's where that Jenna chick got her statement about how Brian knows who did it and he's willing to help Ann Taylor figure it out. Maybe that's where that whole sentiment came from, possibly. Yeah. They talk about how there's no DNA in his car or his apartment, and how there's the 3 unknown male DNAs again, which, while I said a lot of this is repetitive, stuff like this needs to be repeated. A lot of it is just a bunch of boo-boo, but stuff like that is important. And I also found it interesting that Chronicles of Olivia has a problem with the PCA. I didn't know that she was really, like, not sure. I know that she's working with Steve, and Steve doesn't seem to be all that sure that this is, like, the final answer, But I didn't know that Olivia actually thought that the PCA had huge holes in it and then it didn't add up. That's interesting to know. Now, this is where we hear about Jeff from jail. Now, apparently, Steve Goncalves got a phone call from someone named Jeff that's in a jail in Idaho that's claiming that someone handed him a backpack and asked him to get rid of said backpack. And according to him, this was the accomplice of Bryan Kohberger. Now, his story is that he ran security for fentanyl packages and that they were in some snowbank or something somewhere. Honestly, I don't really care about his details too much because this guy just wants money in the end anyway. But his story was that he was security for fentanyl, blah, blah, blah. This guy that also did whatever, or someone that he knew, came up to him with 2 backpacks and asked him to get rid of one because it connected him to a really hairy situation. And whenever home dude opened up the backpack and looked in it, there was a black knife and some bloody clothes, apparently. Okay, well, later on it shows how Bullhorn Betty and Olivia have like messaged this guy on JPay. They do a video thing with him, and then he ends up emailing them and being like, "Oh, I want you to write a letter to my parole board, and or I want money put on my books, and I've been thinking about contacting Nancy Grace because she'll pay somebody to come and talk on her show." Okay, for one, how the hell did this guy get Steve Goncalves' phone number? That's the only real thing that I have questions for here, because someone in that jail would have had to have given Jail Jeff Steve Goncalves' phone number, or he would have had to have like told his attorney, "Hey, I want to talk to Steve Goncalves." So say attorney talked to Shannon Gray and said, "Yeah, hey, cool, here's Steve's number." Like, how did he get Steve's contact information, guys? He's in a jail. He's in a freaking jail. And at first I was like, oh my God, they're just blasting this guy's name all over, the Paramount screen. But then whenever you find out that all he wanted was money and none of it was true and his motive was literally just the most selfish thing ever, I honestly don't care that his little criminal face is all over the place. He sucks. He's a crap human. They showed a clip of Drip Drop, and there's been a lot of people questioning where Drip Drop is. I honestly don't care where Drip Drop is. I don't take him seriously, and I might lose subscribers because of that. I don't really particularly care. Drip Drop to me is the definition of what he claims to be. He's a clown. He's a clown. They parachuted into the balcony. Okay, there's all kinds of crazy stuff that this guy comes up with, and I don't understand why people like me look horrible, but people like Drip Drop get like all the accolades. He is the one who is stirring up all of the crazy. If anything, he is one of the worst ones here on YouTube, causing problems in this case, if you really want to talk about being real here. And there's been people like actually making videos and questioning where he went. Hopefully he's done with Idaho. I highly doubt it. I highly doubt it. But hopefully he is, because like I just said, he is nothing but chaotic. He is chaotic. Straight up. I don't care how anyone else feels about it. Drip Drop from Crime Circus is chaotic. And then they finally bring up Dot. Now, I was one of the first ones to come out here and tell all of you that Dot was full of it. That Dot was fake. Go back on my videos. I don't delete anything. It is all there. I got into arguments with people here on YouTube because they wanted to sit here and stand up for her whenever it had already been proven that Dot was really a big chunky woman who sounds like Candace Wells. Okay, Summer Wells' mom, and actually looks really similar to her too. It's not her. Okay, Dot is actually a woman named Braden. She's not some 20-something-year-old college student who happens to be friends with Dylan or anyone else in that area. She is someone who has continuously created a character in several different viral crime cases, okay? Everything about her came out as being fake, and there's a channel here on YouTube, and yes, I'm going to call this channel out now, because I got into an argument with this channel because they took all of Dot's testimonies after she was already proven to be a fake, after all of the truth about her being this troll named Braden came out. True Crime Design then went in after I said something to them, after Rory said something to them, and put this huge segment together of everything that Dot said, and then called her a real witness. And that video has hundreds of thousands of views. And it was created with that creator knowing damn well that all of Dot's bullshit had already been proven. People like that kind of stuff is okay, but me sitting here asking legitimate questions isn't. Y'all can miss me with that too. Okay, so I knew that JLR had like a ridiculous criminal history. And again, in my opinion, that's the reason why he's here on YouTube and this is all that he does because his criminal history, you can't get a good job with that kind of criminal history, okay? And honestly, the same thing with Bullhorn Betty. And all of that is exposed in this. Most people already knew about their criminal background, which is why they also have an entire group of people that don't want anything to do with them. So I'm glad that all of it was shown up here because it proves a huge point. Now, something that I didn't know is that JLR pretended to be the uncle of the Sandy Hook person. Okay, are you for real right now? And then he pretended to be a Muslim at some point. This guy, again, no morals, no ethics, no couth. It's disgusting. But then I also found it kind of funny that Bullhorn Betty, whenever they're talking about Jeff, is like, I don't trust people that are in prison. Okay, but you're besties or were besties with JLR. So obviously you do like people that go to prison. But then Jennifer Coffindaffer, I believe it was her that made this statement, says something kind of stupid, but also kind of valid at the same time because it's not technically true, at least not for me, not for freaking me, okay? She says there's a majority of the people in the true crime community, the cyber sleuth community, that have extensive criminal histories, that there's nothing but a bunch of criminals, which is honestly kind of true because I can sit back and think of several freaking people, okay, that have actual criminal histories. There's a couple of people here in lives that continue to talk that were mentioned in the TikTok thing that are criminals that have been prideful at the fact that they are actually guilty of something, but because of something that was done incorrectly, they got off and were proven innocent, but now comes out here and says, yeah, I know I did it, but they proved me innocent because this, that, and the third. Okay, but I did it. I sure did it, but this is what happened and this is how I got off. That's not something to be proud of. I've had 2 speeding tickets my entire life. I'm 35. Never been arrested. Never even been close to being arrested. Okay, actually, that's a lie. Backtrack. Back whenever my kids were like 4 and 3, someone in my hometown that I actually ended up being related to by marriage tried to rob an ATM. Okay. At the time, me and this person had the same build, sort of, and sort of like the same haircut. So one night, a cop came to my dad's house because my dad's pretty well known in my town. A cop came to my dad's house and was asking questions about like where I was and whatnot because until they were able to get the plate and everything ran off of the car, for some reason they thought that this was me trying to like break into this ATM. No, it wasn't. Now the person got caught. So that's like the closest that I ever came to being arrested was being falsely accused of robbing an ATM or attempting to rob an ATM. It's been so long I don't remember all of the exact details, but yeah, that happened. But other than that, no, I don't have a criminal history. So that's not a complete statement. There's people out here that are genuinely just curious. I mean, I have a degree in this crap. All right? So, no, I don't have a criminal history, but it also goes to show that there's a lot of people out here that are only in it for what it can bring to them. Crowds and money, I agree with those statements. And like I mentioned, they bring up the Papa Roger account, but they bring up the fact that somebody posted on it after Bryan was arrested. So all that stuff about it being Bryan has all been like kind of washed away, but there's still a huge mystery surrounding Papa Roger because he did know a couple of things he maybe shouldn't have. But the thing about that, and I think we've maybe touched on this before, at some point, Papa Roger's account was like a female because it said something about like her post or her update or something like that, but it was female pronouns being used on the Facebook page. So I don't know. I don't know. I mean, honestly, could it have been one of the roommates? Wouldn't they have walked around and known that there was a knife sheath? Wouldn't they have known a couple of things? Maybe a picture was chosen that looked like the person that they thought they saw. I mean, that's a possibility too, I guess. They talked about this Pennsylvania brewery situation where apparently the owner came out and did an interview stating that Bryan had been in there at some point and would be uppity and like talk crap to these girls after he was like rejected by them. He got into it with a waitress, called her the B word. Okay, all these things. I don't know about any of that, but I also know that if people go into a bar and they're drunk, they get belligerent. So, I mean, I don't know. Honestly, with the way that you act whenever you're drunk is just like your brain unable to filter your bullshit. So maybe if it's true, that is who he really is. I mean, we don't really know, do we? Jennifer Coffindaffer, I just really can't with this woman. She makes a statement that The majority of the 51 terabytes is most likely all of us people here on YouTube and on social media. Miss Ma'am, they were telling us there was 51 terabytes of data the day that Bryan Kohberger was arrested. What you mean? You mean to tell me that all these videos and stuff about Bryan Kohberger are now included in the 51 terabytes that was accounted for before he ever even had his first court date for us to have anything to talk about? Are you crazy? Make your statements make sense. I don't know how old this thing is. Okay. They are sitting here asking Betty in this certain clip if she thinks that this is going to go to trial in October. And I instantly was like, hold up. How old are these recordings? How old are these recordings? Like, I'm really curious as to if they did a whole bunch of stuff with Betty and Olivia way before they ever contacted Rory and Brat and Riley and all of them other people, because that was a long time ago that we were still having the trial in October, or still supposed to have been having the trial in October. Like, how many freaking months and months and months has it been that we knew that that wasn't going to be a situation? I mean, we're literally in February of 2024, and that was talking about October of 2023 trial. This is some old filming. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all that was there. Now, again, I'm going to be joining Melissa Jade on a live. I believe she said it was going to be Wednesday evening for us to talk about all of these things that were all over the place in this episode. Once she has that link available, I'll be sharing it, and it'll be in the description box of all three of these videos so that you guys can link to it. And again, I will have all of my handwritten notes eventually posted to the community tab for all three of these episodes. I'll definitely have them up before Wednesday. I'll probably do like one a day. I'll release one Monday. I'll release episode 2's notes on Tuesday. Episode 3's notes will be out on Wednesday. We have stuff to do with my grandparents today, so I'm going to be gone for the rest of the day. You guys be careful. Today is Super Bowl Sunday. I'm trying to get on the road and back off the road while everyone is glued to their TVs, so I don't have to be in the middle of all the crazy. I hope you guys' teams win, whichever one you're voting for. I don't do football. I don't do football. All this crazy stuff. I don't believe that men that play with balls should be making more money than our military. So I don't really divulge into football very much. But that is it, you guys. If you like the way that I present my opinions and information, please do not forget to leave a like on your way out and subscribe to the channel if you are not subscribed already. See y'all.